Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to have a quick look at the Pwnage Ultra Custom Symm 2 Wireless. That's a super long name, and the name of the company itself turns me off a little bit, but I've heard some good things about this mouse, so I thought I'd give it a try. So let's start off with the unboxing. Okay, so here we've got a USB A to C cable. It's nicely wrapped in paracord and it's all black. I believe the white one comes with a white. And we have the solid back piece that you can swap out here. And in this little bag, you do get a USB A to C adapter for the dongle, as well as these little pads that you can put on the plastic part of the mouse buttons to adjust the feel. And of course, you do have a quick start guide or setup guide, pretty basic stuff. And of course, you have the mouse itself. So before moving forward, I just wanted to touch on some key specifications on their website. Of course, you can go on their website and find quite a bit more information. But yeah, just starting off, the weight, big one, is rated at 66 to 75 grams. I'll touch on that later in this video. And the battery life is rated at 180 hours in office mode or 80 hours in gaming mode. And it should take about 2 hours to fully recharge from empty, according to the website. And the mouse does use a PAW 30-3070 optical sensor, and that goes all the way up to 19,000 dpi. I don't know who's using that, but if you are, I do have some questions. And the mouse does have a pulling rate of up to 1000 Hertz, which is pretty standard stuff. Aside from that, the mouse does use kill switches. I'm not someone who's too nitpicky about the switches. As long as they work and they're crisp and tactile and all that, I'm happy. And the mouse does have a pretty solid amount of RGB. But of course, again, if you do want to look more into this mouse, you can just hop over to their website. It does have quite a bit of useful information on there. Okay, so let's have a quick look at some of the physical attributes of this mouse. So first off, this is the black honeycomb version of this mouse. So this back piece is honeycomb as well as both the sides. And so this back piece you can swap out for a solid one. The package comes with one, but what you're really buying is the body itself. So these sides aren't changeable for solid ones. That said, the button layout is pretty standard. You have left, right click, DPI switch button. Of course, you can map everything to whatever you want. You have your scroll wheel up, down, and then press down. It doesn't have any tilt or anything. And just on the left side, you have back and forward buttons. Although the name of the mouse suggests that it is like perfectly symmetrical, it is not. So if you are left-handed and mouse using your left hand, this might not be for you because these buttons are only on the left side. The right side doesn't have anything. But moving on to the bottom, we do have two big PTFE feet. I really appreciate how big this one on the bottom is. And apart from that, you do have this switch here. So in the middle position, the mouse is off. And if you push it up, the mouse is on. Push it down, the mouse is on with LEDs on. So I think this is a really nice feature to have, so that if you are in a situation where, let's say you're someone who likes having RGB, but let's say sometimes you work in like coffee shops or on laptops where you're not able to charge up the mouse or charge up your device. So having that option to switch between the two is really nice. Okay, so let's get into what makes this mouse custom. So this back piece comes off as well as this piece here. So let's take off this back piece first. You really just have to get under it from the back ridge here and lift up, and it just comes off. And in here, you get a better look at the Pwnage logo that lights up. You also have storage for your USB dongle. And you also have access to the battery, which I'm not sure if you can replace, because on their website, it looks like you can, but at the same time, the battery that they have listed on their website is stated as being only for the Ergo, which is a different mouse. So I'm not sure if the mice are using the same battery or maybe they haven't updated it. I'm not sure, but yeah, just something to note. I'm not someone who would switch out the batteries, but it's just good to know, right? Because it's pretty vague on there. Apart from that, the mouse buttons up here are also removable as well, and it is a bit clunky because you have to pull this tab back and then everything will just kind of pop off. And a big reason for this being removable is that you can actually adjust the feel of the mouse. So the package actually comes with these little pads that you can attach to the bottom of the plastic that actuates the switch to adjust how it feels. I'm probably not going to do that because this mouse is already really crisp feeling out of the box, which I like. But it's there if you want to mess around with it. Lighting change because recording during the day sucks. But anyways, moving on to the weight test. So the Ultra Custom Symm 2 came in at 72 grams, which is a bit heavier than the lowest weight listed on their website. They quote 66 to 75 grams. But I believe that 66-gram mark is without the back cover, which I feel like isn't a way that like a lot of people will use the mouse, but I guess some people are, so that's why it's included. The Logitech G203 came in at 85 grams. It definitely does feel a bit heavier, and the MX Master 3 comes in at a whopping 142 grams. Okay, so let's talk about my impressions of this mouse. So this mouse has been overall amazing. It's very light, at least compared to the other mice that I've been using. And the big PTFE feet also help in making the mouse like glide. And the movement of this mouse is very effortless. It's a lot smoother than the G203, which unfortunately only has these 4 small pads in the corners, which is a little surprising. But yeah, there are some issues with this mouse though. So the big comparison I'm going to do here is against the MX Master 3. I know this isn't a gaming or like performance mouse, but the wireless performance on this mouse is amazing, and I'm assuming that Logitech's wireless gaming mice are also pretty much up to that standard. So with the MX Master 3, I can plug it into whatever USB port I want, and it works flawlessly. It's perfectly fine. No issues, no jitter, no issues at all. But with the Ultra Custom Symm 2, oh my god. Putting the dongle into the back of my computer, I did have some issues. There was some lag at points when I was moving the mouse. I thought it may have been my computer, but I just exited to my desktop, made sure I had nothing really running in the back, just kind of moved the mouse around like this, and there was lag. And so what I ended up doing is moving the dongle to the front of my PC to make the distance a bit shorter between the mouse and the dongle. And that did help, but I was still getting some of that lag here and there, which is super annoying, especially if you're playing stuff like FPS, MOBA, anything that requires a lot of mouse movement. And so what I ended up doing from there is lowering the pulling rate to 500 hertz from 1000. It defaults at 1000, but dropping it down to 500 helped a lot. So I'm assuming it has to do with the data rate that the mouse and dongle are capable of, because I had it plugged into USB 3. The front panel is all USB 3. The back, I do only have USB 3 slots open right now, I think. So that the USB slot itself shouldn't be the issue. But otherwise, the mouse has been amazing. The battery life on this mouse is great. I haven't actually had to charge it at all since getting this mouse, which has been about a week or so. And I think the lowest that this mouse has gotten is 95%. I'm assuming that the mouse only reports in 5% increments, which is viewable through the software. Unfortunately, there's no battery indicator on the mouse itself as far as I'm aware. But yeah. Okay, so I'm re-recording this portion because I didn't realize that some of the sub-menus weren't showing up. But with this software here, you're greeted by a pretty basic like key mapping tool, and then you also have a debounce setting, which helps in the event that you do have any double clicking issues. I currently have it set to 3 milliseconds. It defaults at 4 milliseconds. Either way, I haven't had any issues, and honestly, I could just remove this altogether probably. And over on the next tab, you have your DPI settings. You can have up to 6 DPI stages. I just have the 2. And so here you can also change the color of the DPI effect, which is the lighting that occurs when you do switch into that DPI level. And so here you have steady breathing and off. As previously mentioned, I don't really mess with lighting too much. And you also have the polling rate, so 125 hertz, 250 hertz, 500, and 1000. I am using 500 just to avoid any potential lag issues in the future. I just want everything to be consistent. You also have your liftoff distance. You can change it from 1 millimeter to 2 millimeter. The default is 1 millimeter. You also have ripple control, so especially for higher DPI, it'll smooth out some of the motion, so it's a little more predictable, and you don't get as much, like, let's say I'm moving horizontally, you don't get as much up and down jitter there. You also have mouse parameters, which are just your Windows settings, but it's pretty nice that they have it accessible here, and they attach a numerical value to each. Apart from that, you do have a section for macros. I don't use it, but it's there if you want to use it. And you also have your lighting effects. So again, I don't really use lighting, but here you can choose from steady, breathing, streaming, neon, Palma, I don't know what that means, color breathing, and off. You can adjust obviously the color, the brightness, speed of the effect, and you can set it so the light turns off when moving. So I'm guessing that since you won't be able to see the lighting much when you're actually using the mouse, it kind of helps save on battery that way. And you also have kind of a sleep timer here for the lighting as well, which can be handy to save some battery life as well. And before I forget to mention this mouse doesn't require the software. So you can get by without using the software at all. When you close the software, it's just closed. So it's not running in the background or anything. And if you do decide to take this with you to use on a different computer, your settings will save. And I think any modern mouse worth their salt should work like that. Okay, so let's start wrapping up this video. This mouse, the Pwnage Ultra Custom Symm 2, very long name, performs pretty solidly. I have no complaints other than the data rate issue with the dongle. Getting it positioned properly is a bit of a pain and kind of necessary for this mouse, it seems. But yeah, apart from that, this mouse is quite nice. It's very light. It's quite small. So I'm someone who has pretty small hands, and next to the G203, the sizes are pretty similar. In fact, this mouse is quite a bit less wide, so it fits very comfortably in my small hands. And so that said, this mouse is pretty solid. That said, would I buy this mouse again? Probably. At the price, this is about $100. It is a tough sell because you do have offerings from Logitech, Razer, Glorious, etc., right? So it is a bit of a tough sell, especially when the shape of this mouse is basically the Viper. It's very similar to that. But yeah, honestly, if I were still looking for a wireless mouse and wasn't just curious about this mouse and wanted to try it, I'd probably go Logitech. I'd probably look for the 305 Shroud Edition. I honestly was looking at the mouse, but I strayed away from it because I heard they made it a little bit bigger, and I do have small hands. So if they made the 305 Shroud Edition the same size as the original, or re-released it as a smaller version of the Shroud Edition, I would probably be buying that because I trust Logitech to make solid products. Pwnage was a bit of a gamble for me because I've never heard of the company prior to buying this. So yeah, if you do want to check out this mouse, you can do so on Pwnage's website, and that's where you'll find all the specs. The box has none of them, but they do have some pretty strong competition from bigger brands like Logitech, Razer, etc. And those brands are purchasable through Amazon, so returns are pretty easy. Whereas this mouse, I believe you'd have to ship it directly to them, unless if you are having any major issues, then I think they'll help you out there. But I'm not 100% sure because this mouse is fine. But big downfall there, especially being Canadian. I believe Pwnage is based in America. So bit of a hindrance there, a bit of a thing that deters me from further buying their products, but I'm happy that I did. Anyways, I'm going to start wrapping up this video. I do know that this video was a bit different from my normal content, but as previously stated before, I think I do want to start branching out to different parts of tech, because as much as I want to do new keyboard videos all the time, keyboards themselves have gotten a bit stale in my opinion, with the rise of 60-65% keyboards. And I'm sure from my content, it's pretty obvious that that's not really what I'm into. But yeah, I hope to do a lot more videos in 2022 and branch out even further into more areas of tech. And so yeah, if you are watching this video when this video does come out, I hope you guys have a happy new year and have a safe happy new year. And yeah, anyways, gonna wrap up this video here, so take care and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I just knocked over a box.